Alright, we're back. The greatest YouTube channel of all time. Okay, not quite, but a somewhat good YouTube channel perhaps. We are checking in from one of the most beautiful and magically saturated places on Earth, Gotland, and especially Visby. So we're gonna get straight into this fine video, but first a message from the sponsor of this video. The greatest clothing brand in the world, Legio Gloria, proudly made with love from the Friends of the Baltic. So this fine polo shirt you see, for example, made in Poland, and then the linen and some of the wool made in Lithuania and some in Ireland as well. So do head over to legiogloria.com and place a massive order. It's the only reasonable course of action. So, as you perhaps have heard, I haven't really had a super nice year, so we decided, my beautiful and lovely wife and I, to head to Gotland to restore our spirits. So here you can find a lot of beauty, especially in the main town. It's an old medieval town, so there you can see Gotland as well, in the middle of the Baltic, the sacred Baltic Sea. So Visby, old Hanseatic town, it's been important for trade, especially during the Middle Ages, but even later as well. So this cathedral you see before you now, with a nice Swedish flag and a Gotland flag as well, it's actually 800 years. Quite epic if you think about it, that this structure has been there for many a century, and a lot has happened during that time. Unfortunately, the Danes conquered it under Valdemar Atterdag in 1361, but it came back to the righteous Swedish rule about 300 years later. Was actually under occupation by the Teutonic Knights also. They were sent there to take care of the Victual Brothers, Vitalienbrüder in German, Vitaliebröderna in Swedish. Now, the Teutonic Knights made short work of the pirates and occupied the island of Gotland for 10 years, so from 1398 to 1408, and they actually fought a war against our glorious and heroic queen Margareta, who ruled the Kalmar Union. So the Kalmar Union was a Nordic union: Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Iceland, and some other possessions as well. Unfortunately, Margareta could not wrest control from the Teutonic Knights, so they stayed there for a while longer before selling it, and then it went back to Kalmar Union hands. And when the Kalmar Union was abolished, it remained in Danish hands up until 1645, when it came into Swedish possession. After that, the Danish reconquered it, but finally it came into Swedish possession again in 1679, and has remained in Swedish hands ever since then. Now today, many are worried that the Russians might want to conquer it, because it's a strategically important location for sure. So back in the day, during my military service, I was actually on Gotland for a military exercise. It was not quite as beautiful as the footage you see before you, because it was in the middle of November, so a bit dreary to say the least, but it was a good exercise at least, and it's good that Sweden has a good military presence on Gotland, so we can keep it in our hands. Now, something that needs to be done upon regime change is to beautify our towns and cities, because beauty makes people happy and productive, so we need to endeavor to make our towns and cities as beautiful as possible. So we have a good example in front of us right here, a nice fountain surrounded by flowers. Nothing super spectacular, you can easily do it in any city, any town, but it adds so much to the overall experience of being at a place. So this is what I mean with beautifying our urban environments. This is what we need to do upon regime change. So in every small town, in every city, a lot more of this will be seen. That is my promise to everyone. Gotland is full of history, not only in Visby, but all throughout the island. You can find ancient sites, some from the Bronze Age, Iron Age, some from the medieval period. Now, these older sites, these grave fields, stone ships from the Bronze Age, they might not look as impressive as the the church, the big cathedral, for example, but now you have to use your God-given power of imagination, and you have to think to yourself what it looked like back in the day, so you can paint a scene in your mind's eye what it could have looked like during the Bronze Age, which was a bit of a golden age for Scandinavia. It was a lot warmer back then as well, so you can try to envision some sort of feast or ritual or something like that. Now, something I always do myself when I visit these historical sites is that I try to think, what would the ancestors, if they could see us now, which they can in a sense. The spirits of the ancestors, they are with us, and I know for a fact that they support our great endeavor to save European civilization. They support us fully, and they believe that what is going on at the moment with the suicide of our civilization, it's absolute madness. So, as the Skyrim quote goes, my ancestors are smiling at me. So anyway, you can also pray at the sites. They are places of power after all, so magically saturated places, points of power with a lot of spiritual significance. Spiritual matters, if you are in Visby, you should definitely visit the Gotland Museum. As you can see before you, they have many magical stones here. Now you might ask, what do they mean? A better question, if we're talking about magic, is what do they do? What do they do when you look at them? What sort of energies are activated in your body when you observe the form, the symbol? So this might sound a bit esoteric, I agree, but I encourage you to think about it. So, for example, now I am looking at this intensely, and I'm closing my eyes, and I'm envisioning this whirl starting to spin in the center of my being, imbuing me with great energy. So this is something you can try out yourself. And of course, the more of a connection you have to the symbol, the more potent the effects will be. Now, many of these stones, just as rune stones, you can see all over Sweden, especially Uppland, they also tell a story. So it's not only psychomagical symbols on them, but they also tell a story of heroic adventure, and many of the stones, they are erected in honor of a relative or someone they respected. So, a lot to see and to think about in the Gotland Museum. I can definitely recommend a visit there. So anyway, it is hard to capture the beauty and atmosphere of Gotland and Visby during the medieval week in particular. It's hard to capture on camera, but yeah, I just want to check in with this video and say that I am now fully restored. My Thumos and joy, they're back, and so am I. So I look forward to an autumn full of productivity, an intense autumn. So I'll try to set a high pace. So, thank you for watching, thank you for your support. Do check out all the links in the description box below. You can follow me on social media. Head over to legiogloria.com. If you haven't already read Dauntless and Demigod Mentality, you can find those two books there. And also check out the new restocks of the fine merino wool. We also have some new releases incoming. Also make sure to subscribe to the greatest podcast. So, that all being said, I will see you in the next video. XOXO, boom!